myself down here in London. Just pure, utter rain and misery here. But there's nothing more to warm us up with than, or better than whiskey. So that's going to help. And welcome back to everybody, all our regulars. I see some of our regulars already commenting. Welcome back, Stephen, Coleman Williams, Stuart McGregor, Joe Efriel, Boinga, all names that I've now feel like we've known each other for years. And welcome to all you newbies who've never been with us before at Pour and Sip. Welcome. Basically, here we're going to have an amazing tasting session tonight. We've got 3 amazing guests, and then I'm going to be just talking a very little bit about the last 2 whiskies. And please get involved. Please get involved with your tasting notes, questions for any of our guests that you want to ask them. And yeah, that's basically all. Our open community here at Pour and Sip. There's no tasting note that's too silly. There's no question that's too silly. Please just get involved. That is the whole point. We're all on a learning process here. So yeah, please get involved. Usually I have my co-host with me, but tonight I don't. So you're going to hear a lot of my voice. So I hope that's not a problem for anybody. And yeah, Joe F saying no snow on East Suffolk coast, just wet and windy. Stuart McGregor's further north in Dundee, no snow in Edinburgh, according to Real Boinga. But there you go. Maybe some of our guests have had some. I don't know. Anyway, the order of tonight's proceedings are going to be, we're going to start, and I'm going to be interviewing Carol, all about Filliers 10-year-old, which is a Belgian single malt. Then we're going to be heading, this is a very European evening tonight. Then we're going to be heading to Sweden, and I'm going to be talking to Matthew about Mackmyra and their whiskey. And then finally, we're going to be finishing back in Scotland, talking to Jack about the Aberlour 14-year-old. And then I'm going to do 2 little bits about the Ben Nevis, the 11-year-old, and then the LAGG, which is actually really exciting as a fan of Aaron. So that's the order of proceedings tonight. I hope you've all remembered that. There's a possibility I might forget and change it up after a couple of glasses of whiskey. But we are going to be, yes, Jeffster. Thank you, Malcolm. Yes, I hope that was good enough for you and that you've remembered the order. And Jeff said, why not invite a regular to double heads when no one else is available? You'll have to email the powers that be, Pour and Sip and Mom. Anyway, let's start, because I'm sure you all want to try whiskey and not listen to me. And we're going to be heading to talk to Carol all about things about Belgian whiskey. So hello, Carol, how are you?
Hi there, I'm fine, thanks.
Good. Whereabouts are we talking to you from today?
So I'm in Ayr on the west coast of Scotland, just south of Glasgow, basically. So
okay.
Yeah.
And we were just mentioning, did you have any snow?
No, we don't have snow, thankfully, because of we have a little bit of a mini Gulf Stream here, so we get protected by the weather. Luckily, Arran is just on the coast across from me, so it protects us from a lot of the weather.
Okay, they can take it all. Okay.
Absolutely.
So just for anyone who doesn't know you, never met you before, or never seen you on one of these, talk to us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the industry and your current role.
Yeah, so I'm the UK sales manager for Douglas Lane. And I'm here to talk to you about Filliers, and it's a brand that we distribute in the UK. So it's not actually something we distill ourselves, but we're the distributor for it. And we brought it in last year. I'll talk a little bit more about the reasons for that later. But how I get into the industry, I've been in the drinks trade about 14 years. And prior to working for Douglas Lane, I was in the wholesale market, working for Matthew Clark, which some of you may know, and also a big brand in Scotland, Tennent's. So Tennent's is a big wholesale distributor up here in Scotland. So mostly based in Scotland, doing wholesale. And then last year, the opportunity came up to delve a little bit more into whiskey, and I moved over to work for Douglas Lane. So I've been there for about 9 months now.
Okay, great. It must be a great company to work for. There's a lot going on.
Yes, a lot happening. Family-run business, 3rd generation, based in Glasgow. You can see our warehouses when you drive in from the airport. We have a lovely big peat sign on the side of us, so very easy to see where we live. But yeah, lots happening, lots of bottlings. We've got our own campus there, so we bottle ourselves on site now, and a couple of maturation warehouses there as well. And we also own the Strathearn distillery up in Perthshire, so watch out for that one. We're hoping to release our first single malt from there this year.
Oh, okay, that's exciting. Yep. But for those who don't know about that, we have had A couple of products, I think, before, but talk to us about the range. So there's the Douglas Lang range. There's obviously the 5.
Yes, so we have our remarkable regional malts, which is your Big Peat, Timorous Beastie, Scallywag. So they represent, it's a blended malt representing all of the regions of Scotland. And then we have our, what we call our exceptional single casks. So that's where we have our own particular bottlings. We have provenance labels in there. And we also have our XOP, which is an extra special, sort of 25 years and above bottlings. Everything's signed off by Fred and Cara Lang, the owners of the company. They taste everything. The tasting notes are written by them, so it's very much a hands-on family business.
Great, and that moves us on to talk about what we're going to be trying tonight. But what was the reasonings for buying, choosing to distribute Filliers?
Yep. So when I came into the company in May, the decision had already sort of been made that we were going to work with Filliers. There's a good affinity with the business because, again, it's a family-run Belgian business. They're fifth generation, where we're only third. They've been around for 144 years. We're 76 years. So they're a little bit older, been doing it a bit longer than us, but in different ways. So they've been distilling all that time, but predominantly Genever was what they started with, gin, vodka. They have a whole range of products as a distiller.
For those who don't know, what is it Genever?
Genever, or Genever, it depends on how you want to pronounce it. There's various names for it, but so basically Genever is seen as the sort of the birth of gin, if you like, to many. But what it is, it's a malt wine. So they create a malt wine and then they age it. They're one of the sort of main brands that do aging. There are other brands that do aging, but Filliers does. They create probably 80% of the malt wine that all the other brands use. So they sell the malt wine, they make it on site, and that then is the product that makes Genever. And they see it as the conduit, if you like, between gin and whiskey, because it's got the aging process and the distillation of some of the elements of whiskey, but obviously it's a gin botanical product.
Yeah, talk to us about the distillery itself, because they've been doing this for. This isn't new.
So yeah, so they've been doing this for centuries, as I say, 144 years old. That's what they started off at. They've got 12 stills, and I think 4 of them are Genever stills. So much so that in World War II they buried the stills in the river to protect them from the Germans, so that they could crank up the stills as soon as the war was over, and brought them out the river and started distilling straight away. So yeah. A little bit of fun facts in there, but yeah, they've been distilling. They do everything on site, so they're based just southwest of Ghent, and they are a farmer. It's an agricultural land, so they started out as farmers, and then obviously got into distillation, and they've progressed through the years and just added more and more expertise and spirit categories to their portfolio. Took them a while to get into whiskey, though. It wasn't until 2002 that they installed the stills, but they've waited till now to release their 10-year-old. So the 10-year-old came out last year, and that's the first sort of Belgian malt. They did one under Goldley's label, but it was a little bit more of an unusual style, their own style, rather than this one, which is more in the Scottish style.
Okay, so this is the first single malt that they're released.
It is, yes. So this is a limited edition, 5,500 bottles for the whole market. So yeah, this is the first one that they've produced, and there's more to come. So there are more in the pipeline as they age up the spirit. They're looking at different finishes. They've worked with, so Filliers as an organisation also distribute in Belgium other brands. So they've got quite a lot of good friends in the Scottish whisky industry who gave them advice on what stills to install, etc., and the styles to go for. Although they've been very experienced distillers, they still came to Scotland to get some expertise on the malt whisky themselves. So yeah, so they're very experienced in creating spirit, but less so in malt. So yeah.
Okay, and they're saying it's a full maturation sherry oak casks.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
European oak sherry. Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of the Belgian kind of aspect? Is there anything that is kind of locally sourced, or is there
Everything, yeah. So they're what they call, or it's a Belgian term, but it's a warm distillery they call it, which probably in Scotland we would call grain to glass. So essentially, it's a full operational. They grow everything. They don't necessarily grow all of the grain anymore, but the produce, but they will. It's all Belgian. It's completely and utterly Belgian. Everything that goes into it is Belgian. The water is pumped from the stream close by. They do all the aging, they do all the the maturation, fermentation, distillation. Everything's done on the farm, and the distillery there. You can actually see it. It's built into the old farm buildings. So if you go and visit, you can see the original farm buildings as they would have been.
Is this a distillery you can go and visit?
You can absolutely go and visit it. Yes, it's very much
there you go.
running, but yeah.
If you're ever in Belgium near Ghent, that's one to add to your list. A few comments coming in. Your Uncle Vanya saying, Filliers was one of my top highlights of Glasgow Whisky Festival last year, believe it or not. With Jennifer even converted a hardcore only single malt drinker passed by at the same time.
Super. So yep. We had the 8-year-old there. Yeah, which is this one.
What is that? So an 8-year-old.
That's the 8-year-old Jennifer, yeah.
Can I hold it closer just to see the colour?
Yeah, sure.
There you go. Lovely. Look at that. I to be honest, I've not really tried it much, so I'd be interested myself.
Yeah. It was a bit of a Marmite one on the table. I will say that.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah. There's it's a love-hate relationship with it.
Okay.
But yeah, the whiskey went down really well.
That's the main thing in this conversation. Williams, we're talking about Filliers. This is from before about the order. Sorry if I wasn't clear. Stuart McGregor saying Jennifer's amazing. And Clive Hampton, it's a big blast of sherry ports with some spice. So says my wife, whose smell is a lot better than mine. Steve Howdy Doody looks a very dark drink and not a dirty glass. Is that from mine? Yes. How dare you? It's not a dirty glass. It is. There's a wonderful sherry kind of. And is this natural colouring?
It's natural, no coloration added. It's absolutely as it came out the cask.
A lovely, beautiful sherry whiskey.
Yep.
Clearly there. Wonderful mahogany colour. Oh, I've just lost all the comments there. Peter Gilmore, I can smell a sherry aroma and sugary. Jester, I have a Filliers 10 in my cabinet, nice and fruity on my palate. Well, once you finish this one, you can then head back to your cabinet after your little jam and have some more. Malcolm Tucker saying sawnwood and ears of wheat, hints of toffee and parsley. Steve Collins, Filliers seaweed, orange and caramel on the nose, one for relaxing on a Welsh shingle beach. That's a hard one to say, I have to say. A Welsh shingle You're trying to, I see what you're doing there. I'll read a few more of these out in a minute, but I haven't even had a sip of it. So, yeah, I mean, instantly for me, I get those, the notes I was trying was sherry. And
definitely sherry, a little bit floral. Yeah, the style, the spirit style that they go for is quite floral, but with the dried fruit on the end. And then on the palate, you should have spice, dark chocolate, toffee, quite a bit of the wood character coming through. Walnut, and somebody mentioned orange, and that's definitely there as well, a hint of orange. Yeah,
but I also get this this kind of herbal kind of note in there as well, which is really nice on the palate as well. It's really wonderful actually, and for 43%, it's actually very very the mouth coat is wonderful. What was I say? Someone else had mentioned. I can't remember. Jess saying it's very chocolatey on the nose, an extremely sweet hit on the tongue. Belgium chocolate in a glass. Peter Gilmore saying oily, nuts, oak, and spices. Jester, oh sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Jester said belies the 46. Yes, sorry, 46, not 43, right? No. The
ABV 43 ABV. Yeah,
thought so. Wonderful stuff and real bonga. The smell is spicy berries and cinnamon, and in the mouth it's dark chocolate and pepper and black cherries coming through in the end. Yeah, definitely get those kind of wonderful kind of chocolate covered cherries as well. It's not like this huge kind of massive sherry bomb.
It's not a sherry bomb, no. It's slightly more subtle. Yeah, and I think that's because of the spirit itself is not. It's slightly more floral, so it's just a slightly different way of balancing, if you like, the sherryness.
There's a lovely nutty finish at the end there. That's what I'm getting, kind of hazelnut and walnuts. It's really, really wonderful dram. Absolutely loving that. What else do they have in store for whiskey?
So
Going to release this, see how it goes.
Yeah, they're going to bring out immediately. Well, I think this year they're definitely bringing out a blend. So slightly, this one's sort of like, it's a beautiful bottle.
It's always nice when people show us the bottle, please.
Yeah, it comes with its own little stand as well. It's just amazing. And if you, I might drop it, but the packaging, it slots on and it all clips underneath. So the packaging's phenomenal. It's a beautiful, beautiful gift. So that's obviously in the sort of mid-price point. So they're bringing out something that'll be a little bit more commercially priced, but it'll be a blend. And then they're also looking at finishes, and they're looking to bring out a 15-year-old as well.
Okay, cool.
So there's about 3 different products due out. Whether they'll all come this year, we've got a meeting with them next week, so hopefully they'll be able to update us and give us some samples of what's coming. So again, a very collaborative approach with us as a bottler. They look to us to help them and advise them on when it's ready to bottle. They'll obviously make their own decisions, but they like to involve us in that, which is again another reason why we wanted to work with them.
I suppose they're new in this industry, so they're finding
whiskey, yes.
So it's very much a collaborative process to be able to kind of have someone trusted, reliable like Douglas Lang to be able to kind of help them along the way and get this out and get good products out.
Absolutely.
That bottle is. Can I see it again? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like
it's not a bad thing. It looks like the Hibiki bottle.
Yeah,
something that has been said before.
Yeah. I don't know about. I'm not sure about the Hibiki, but just the real 1950s kind of decor, sort of like Art Deco styling. It's a lovely. Quite often we've got a couple in the office that are empty, but we want to keep filling them again because they're just lovely. Yeah. So it's actually one of those bottles you would probably, if you were looking at it from an eco point of view, you could refill it just if we could, a bit like what they do with the Harris gin, obviously.
Well, absolutely, you could take that, and that could be a nice decanter or something like that on the end of there.
100%.
Just a few more notes coming in. I just need to get back to the bottom here. Peter Gilmore on the nose with floral. I was trying to work that one out. Well done, Julie. I'm not sure who Julie is. Alistair Page, I get juniper, caramel, and marzipan on the nose. A hollow, dry, smoky, woody hollow. Spice on the palate. Alistair is not one for him. So that's what we say. It's always subjective whiskey. And you can let us know which one your favorite is by the end of the evening, which one your favorite from your boxes. Malcolm Tucker is saying the palate is thyme, oregano, cherries, or oregano, as you might say in America. Cloves finishing on woody spice, then star anise. Joe F, lots of pine and eucalyptus. The eucalyptus is absolutely like the herb I was getting. And not getting any chocolate, though. Sadly not a fan. David Woolock, more Fino sherry coming through with a hint of almond. Peter Gilmore saying the bottle's like a trophy. Yeah, absolutely. Steve Conwell Williams, in contrast to my nosing notes, the feel tastes like it's meant to be in an ancient woodland on a summer's evening. Oily oak, a lightness, and something that reminds me of dewful. There you go. That is very poetic there, Steve.
Yes.
We do love a poetic tasting note.
We do.
Simon saying the bottle is stunning, and Jeff's saying the bottles would make nice lamps. Yeah, those are definitely bottles you could upcycle for sure. I'm not encouraging you to finish it quicker so you can upcycle. You can pour and sip that one. And yeah, well, thank you very much, Carol, for coming on and talking to us all about
You're welcome.
And it's been wonderful trying. I actually really, really enjoyed that one, I have to say. So a great start to the evening, and thank you very much. If you want to stick around to the end, please do. And otherwise, I will see you soon.
Yes, man. Thank you.
Okay. What a great start to the evening, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. Right, for any confusion, I thought I was clear. Clearly, I wasn't. And I haven't had any whiskey yet before that one. That was the Filliers choice. And next, we're going to be going to Sweden. And we're going to be trying the Mackmyra with Matthew. Sweden, Mackmyra. That is the next one. Don't complain if you get it wrong. I have been super clear about this. So let's welcome Matthew onto the screen. How's it going?
Oh, good on yourself, mate. How are you doing?
Really good. How are those kids of yours? They calm down?
Fully fed, calm down, and no background noise. Thank God.
Yeah, well, no, but that's my turn now because I can hear the background noise in my section over here, and I'm just like, So if I put myself on mute, that's the reason.
No.
Well, how are you today? You're in London, right?
Yeah, I'm based in London. I've been working with Mackmyra for about 6 years and have recently become the new export manager for them. So looking at a really new adventure and a really good positive year ahead.
Wonderful. I think that's probably a good time to just talk to us quickly about, how you found yourself in this role in the industry and then working with Mackmyra.
Yeah, so I've been in the UK for about 6 years now, and when I first got here, I was looking obviously for a job, as any immigrant would do. Lo and behold, one of my friends was working for Mackmyra and invited me to become a brand ambassador, and hey presto, I fell in love with the brand, got involved, and 6 years later, here I am as the export manager.
I would see like what made you fall in love with the brand. But I think that's a question I can ask to us. Yeah, because there's obvious. I think when you talk to us about the brand itself and the distillery, you'll probably be talking a little bit about that because there's lots of things to love about it. But yeah, just talk to us a bit about Mackmyra itself. It's obviously the only whiskey distillery in Sweden still, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, we started off as the pioneers of Scandinavian whiskey.
There you go.
We get on cue. So we started off as the first Scandinavian whiskey, and the founding 8 members actually had the idea in 1998 at a ski lodge, and the question was raised, why don't we do whiskey in Sweden? We've got the peat, we've got the natural resources, we've got great barley and ingredients, which obviously goes into our whiskey, which is all 100% Swedish made. A year later on in 1999, we became a Swedish whiskey distillery in Gävle. It's about 120 miles north of Stockholm, Sweden. And from then on, we have been making whiskey, whether it's 30-liter casks, experimental casks, and up to date, which is our 25th anniversary this year, which we're really proud of. That's how the whole thing started. It was just a bunch of guys passionate about whiskey in 98, and 25 years later, here we are still great producing whiskey, Gravity Distillery in Sweden.
I absolutely love that. The group of guys coming together, just making the distillery. That's awesome. It's very similar, not the sauna thing, but the finish, looking like Kiro. Let's make Finnish whiskey.
It's almost like a Scandinavian kind of thing. Everybody being in saunas coming up with whiskey lately, but we are the pioneers in Scandinavia, and as I said, we've been around for 25 years and kind of kickstarted the whole Scandinavian whiskey industry,
which is booming. And the thing to mention about Mackmyra as well, and why probably a reason why you love it, is the experimental nature of it and the pioneering nature, you could say, and integrating all these kinds of Swedish and Scandinavian flavors into the whiskey, experimenting with unique cask finishes and local wood. Talk to us a bit about this kind of ethos and the types of experiments that have been released, because it's always really exciting to me.
So that's been part of our DNA, and that I would probably say contribution towards that major innovation side of our DNA is with Angela Orazio, Master Blender, Hall of Fame whiskey Master Blender herself. And she's the one who's actually brought us into the forefront with the innovation. I can say we've done almost everything innovative-wise, where we've tried everything from plantation rum casks down to cognac, Glühwein, Amarone Massey kind of casks. We've also done Philip Cornet champagne casks. So yes, the innovation side and always pushing the emblem there is always there in our DNA, and it has been since day one. And it's just a pioneering kind of way that we have had since day one with our founding members and where we are today at the end of the day. And we will continue to do that.
Yeah, but what specifically as well about those particularly Swedish things, like Swedish wood, Swedish.
So we're famous, quite famous for Svensk Egg, or what is known as Swedish oak casks. We were kind of the pioneer of that. We've got the rights of actually coopering that down and actually making Swedish oak casks. Our peat whiskey, which we like to call rök or smoky, happens to be done on a ground peat process, and we actually use juniper twigs in the smoking process of the peat and the barley itself. So it gives a really quick Swedish notes, and in particular with what we've done with Limousin, which we're going to talk about, there is a Swedish element of berry wines and kind of things. So everything we do does have a Swedish twist to it, whether it's the way we do the barley or the peats or the recipe of the whiskey. But there will always be kind of a Swedish nature towards what we do with our releases.
And I suppose the beauty of it is as well is working. I think Mackmyra, a bit of a pioneer with this, is the and like if I talk to Jack later about Aberlour and a Scottish whiskey not being able to experiment by law with these kind of woods and stuff like that you get to. I mean, some people, but I find it very exciting to talk about those kind of woods and just try new things and go, oh, blimey, that's looked weird. Like weird to me, I just love it. But I just think it must be really exciting to work for a company where it's just like, oh yeah, let's try it and see if it works. Is that what?
Yeah, it's basically is like that. I mean, we went, I think it was 1999, 2000, where we actually launched the world's first artificial intelligence whiskey called Intelligence AI01. And that was
about that. That was my last question for you. But we could talk about it now. Yeah,
we can talk. So basically, you know, it was a concept derived by Angela going, okay, let's talk about what the future brings technology-wise and how we can integrate that into whiskey. And it was a really cool project that Angela did. And, you know, approaching Microsoft and Fourkind, who were the Finnish company that developed the software to speak to the Python algorithms and that kind of thing, it was really cool. I mean, you know, we pumped all the data we could in, tasting notes, what we had at the distillery, any kind of data whiskey derived from our distillery, we put it into notes. And we ended up with a couple of million recipes and brought it down to about 10. And then obviously Angela went and chose the right cask according to the recipe that's the data gave us and the AI gave us. And hey presto, we released AI01 and saw what the market would do. Thank God it reacted positively. It was a great question, but a well-balanced whiskey. And I cherish the bottle. Half the bottle I still have.
There's probably a question. I might save this question, but it just was, you mentioned it. Do you think it is a thing in the future? Like, because obviously AI is going to really infiltrate into pretty much every industry. Do you see it? This could be a real opening can of worms kind of thing. Is it a good thing in the industry? Could it replace lots of different things about, you know, blenders, especially with, you know, in stuff that's less creative and working through recipes and stuff like that seem more kind of generic? Can AI really infiltrate there to save money and then create more whiskey?
Well, yeah, it works hand in hand. So the question was for, I think, what Angela was trying to get to and what the answer was, and I can briefly tell you exactly how it is. It's made the blender's job a far lot easier choosing the right blend for whiskey for the market and stuff. Mm-hmm. So when it came out, AI01 was quite a really relatively well-balanced whiskey. It kind of fit the profile for everybody's taste, and that's kind of what the optimum recipe for our house's whiskey is. I can't particularly say it's the best whiskey that I ever did, but for our house, our recipes, our whiskey, what we do, this is the optimal balance level. So it does, in the end of the day, reduce the time of guessing and having a blender walk across the whole entire warehouse looking for the right blend percentage, that kind of thing. It basically shortens the time to actually get the right optimal blend for the whiskey distillery. So it was a question and answer kind of project for us, which I think will probably help in the future, and it could be a model for blenders to use to enable them to turn around a lot more whiskey in a quicker time and help them blend something a little bit more directed towards their audience or their target market or their house's brand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great, and I think one day you'll be a pub quiz question for who's the first. Yeah, people will be answering at the pub quiz. Well, that brings us on to what we're trying tonight. So talk us through this one, the Limousin.
Okay, so Limousin, this came out in about March 2022, and this forms part of what we used to call a seasonal range. So our seasonal range every year, traditionally what we used to do was bring out our whiskey every year in winter and summer. This one, obviously, as you know, March, spring, summer, and this is a celebration of French oak wood. Limousin being obviously famous for its French oak used for cognac maturation, that kind of thing like that. So we collaborated with the House of Ferrand, which is quite famous for their cognacs. And basically what we did is we actually got some of their oak casks, brought them back up to Gävle in Sweden, to our distillery, put a bit of our pre-stored tipple in there. So pre-stored meaning that we've actually matured bourbon 200-litre casks for 4 years. We've taken some of that whiskey and put it into these ex-French oak casks that were previously held with cognac in it, and we saturated and actually matured it for a bit. But we have blended this whiskey. Most people who do know Mackmyra, we don't do any age statements, so we particularly do NSA releases or non-age statement releases. And it's kind of something that we do because we don't really want to particularly talk about age. It's more about the flavor profile for us at the end of the day. But yeah, 43% of this is cognac cask that we've used for this pre-stored recipe, and then for complexity we've added a bit of bourbon, Oloroso, as well as a bit of American oak. But the Swedish kick, as we spoke about earlier, the Swedishness comes in the casks of matured wine, berry wine. I would say more cherry wine and raspberry wine. So in Sweden and Scandinavia, we use a lot of berry wines and Björksav or birch sap wines to create these hunting wines, which are very fruitful and very like spontaneous and a lot of rich and depth flavor. So we've used some of that to saturate some of these casks, and we've actually produced that. So there's the Swedish element, which is what we do at the end of the day. But it is focusing more on the cognac and celebrating the French wood. So if you ever do buy a bottle, I don't know if this is going to work. It's shading out. I don't know. If you ever do buy a bottle, and my blue screen is working pretty well, but on the bottle itself, we actually have angle rings on the bottom of the label, and that's actually the oak rings of the actual wood that we use from Limousin.
That's great. And that's just mentioning because your background isn't actually where you are right now, is it? So that's
this is just the background. I wish I was in there. It would be a lot better where I am in sunny London or rainy London. But yeah, we can all wish for summer, and it's coming soon. But you know, as I said, it's part of our seasonal range. It's 46.1% ABV. And the reason why Angela did that at 46.1 ABV is because we want you to understand the flavors of the cask finishes and what we've done to the whiskey itself.
Yeah. So I'm going to head to the tasting. I mean, I'm nosing at the moment. I'm getting these kind of red grape notes and kind of like bone cherries sweets is what I'm getting on the nose as well.
100%. I mean, like with the cognac, I mean, I would say that this is probably XO cognac that was previously stored in this, and that's purely because you are picking up some of the cherry notes and particularly maybe some dark chocolate notes in this whiskey, which is the major influence of cognac in any case, which is the main profile. So yeah. You will pick that up in the whiskey itself.
Absolutely. I think let's have a sip. I'm gonna have a sip. Cheers.
Perfect, mate. Cheers.
There's a woody note at the start,
Mm-hmm.
which really comes through, and it's really nice. And a gingery note as well, buttery mouth. Yeah, butter, like shortbread kind of note as well.
Mm.
Yeah, really, really nice. It's a really interesting one as well. But I'm getting as well on the finish is that thing that I got on the nose is those foam cherry kind of Haribo sweet kind of notes.
Correct. So foam cherry, I mean, I do pick up the cherry a lot. For me and myself, I pick up a lot of berry notes to it, but you do get a lot of that French oakiness, which is almost vinous, almost like herbal kind of tasting itself.
Yeah.
And that's just purely because of the sugar that you get within the wood itself. Yeah.
I'm like the herbal note as well comes from me in like those kind of cob sweets that you got, which were cherry flavour as well, or berry flavour as well coming through as well. Yeah. Steve Conwell-Williams, I was shocked on a recent trip to Dartmoor that is it Mackmyra or Mackmyra?
Well, a lot of people have mentioned it's actually I've recently learned over the last 8 months that it's actually Mackmyra. So it's emphasis on the CK, so it's Mackmyra, which means Mackmyra, yeah. And it's not a dig at the Scottish distilleries. It's actually a little town in Yevla, Mackmyra. It does have some Celtic heritage. They've dug up some stuff and they found some Celtic link to it. But yeah, it's generally it's direct translation mid swamp.
Yeah, we're saying that it's a trip to Dartmoor, the Mackmyra.
Yeah, there we go.
Of course, must have a Mackmyra.
Yeah, there we go.
It's available in Dartmoor whiskey. Certainly very popular in Devon. Did you know that's the South Manchester? It's very popular in Devon, Mackmyra.
I do.
You do? Okay, there you go. So, is there any reason for that?
Don't know. Maybe it's just the regional profile of what they like. But yeah, I mean, we've over the years brought out something that everybody does like. This year we bring out something really special towards us, and we've got a green tea trilogy coming out. And this forms part of the cast that we actually had the Frontier release, which is the first ever green tea cast finish whiskey we did about 4 years ago.
had that at Pour and Sip.
Oh, did you?
Honestly, I think it may have been one of the first ones we ever did.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, you guys might have one of the secret casts that actually works into that whole release. I think you guys might have something in store. But yeah, we can talk about that at a later stage. But yes, we are bringing out some really exciting things, continuing innovation like we did with the House of Ferrand. But yeah, it'll be more of an exciting trilogy coming up.
That sounds very good. I'm just going to read. There's lots of tasting.
No, of course. Let them go.
Great vanilla and orchard on the nose for me. Steve Conwell-Williams, fresh butter croissant, very French. Tucker, apple, white wine, and sweet vanilla biscuit. Peter Gilmore, red apples and oak spices faintly. Jeff's licorice, rolling tobacco on the nose, touch of nutmeg as well. Jeff's is saying, I'm in Sweden in May, but looks like distillery visits don't happen.
No, of course. Distilleries do happen. Please get hold of me. It's Matthew Davey at Mackmyra.com. No problems. I'll help you out. We do have distillery visits all year round. We also have Mackmyra Day coming up in the end of May. It's a celebration of our 25th year of being around. So really happy about being around for a quarter of a century. So barbecues, braais, tastings, lots of things happening in and around the
Well, if you're in Sweden in the 25th, which is May, you say?
May, yeah.
There you go. That sounds like a great shout. Peter Gilmore, caramel and buttery root ginger. Clive Hampton, wife says bitter orange, almonds and marzipan. I get into butter. Real Boinger, leather and wood on the nose. Campfire, honey, berries and apple on the palate with a spicy toffee finish with fruits mixed in. Question here. I'm just going to see, going back to the AI thing. So as a software engineer, normally you train AI with tens of thousands of data points. Surely you didn't have that many data points to use, or were the notes across all whiskey recipes? Did you ask for it to lean towards a direction or just come up with a balance of everything? And Steve Williams is asking, also, why not? Why Python?
All right. So the thing is, like, we didn't understand how to do this in the beginning, and who are the best people to go to in the industry? Microsoft, who started developing the Python system and to work and be the backbone of a lot of AI systems that we use today. So we approached them, hence the reason. And yes, when we asked for it, we asked for a balanced outcome. Not only that, but we did give tasting notes. We gave recipes, cask profiles, what we had in stores and across our warehouses. So yes, we gave it as much data as we possibly could regarding Mackmyra, anything. So data points, various data points that we used, and we gave as much data as we could to get to where we were. So yeah, it was guided by Microsoft, but also by the software company that engineered it.
Okay, there you go. Sorry, that answers your question. Alex Battersby. This one's very peaty and smoky to me, even though the tasting notes say it isn't. I'm not getting any peat at all in this. There's no peat in this at all.
No, there's no smoke to help peat. We haven't used any of our smoky distillate into this.
So I think it just might be everyone's palate's different, and I think you might be seeing it in something a bit, maybe a herbal note. I don't know, but there is no peat in the whiskey, just to be sure.
No. Well, I mean, I've heard of a lot of interesting tasting profile notes today, especially the buttery notes. I've never heard buttery before. So yeah, that's something I need to take back to the distillery and let them know.
There you go. Joe F. It was on our official Master and Malt tasting notes and saying buttery pastry. So leading into cherry bakewell. So Steve Hart.
Cherry bakewell. I'm down for a cherry bakewell any day, especially in the whiskey.
Well, actually, talking of that, like maybe last question, like it's obviously food's quite important with Mackmyra on site. Is there anything like you like specifically paired with this? Especially there must have been like as food wise, like French, one.
Yeah. Basically, like any cold cut chartreuse and any chocolate fondant or any dark chocolate, really. As long as it's really high grade. We've done a tasting about 2-3 years back using Limousin and a couple of other releases with chocolate producer here in Wimbledon, high end. So yeah, the food pairing and chocolate definitely goes well, but your chartreuse is definitely a go must and a cheese board. Okay. Keep it French though.
Keep it French. There you go. It does sound there. That sounds wonderful. Joe, it feels like a lot of oak charring on this. Once water's added, lovely nose and spicy burst on the palate. Steve, howdy doody. However it's made, it's gone. These bottles don't hold enough. So, is it sold out?
No, well, we don't have any more left in stock in Sweden and stuff. So whatever is left in the market and retailers like yourself is what we have left.
Well, there you go. If you can get it at the Pour and Sip shop, I'd probably advise you to get it pretty quickly. Malcolm Tucker, the palate pear tart, quickly submerged by a heat of ginger and peppery spices with apple coming in on the finish. Lovely. And Steve Williams to say thank you. My advice, as someone who builds AI for the government, keep feeding it data points, as when you can, will only get better. There you go, Matthew. You need to do that. You need to start feeding it data points.
There we go. I'll give a chat to the guys and the girls back home in Gävle and just let them know that we need to put some more data, so hopefully for the next release.
Yeah, I mean, that's well above my head, Steve. I'm like completely. I really like the idea of lots of stuff I hear being there, but I mean, I know absolute diddly squat about AI. So
I had to get upskilled really quickly when we started releasing the AI, believe you me. So I've dived into the whole AI movement.
okay, right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Matthew, for talking to us about that. It's wonderful, wonderful whiskey, wonderful distillery, really interesting to hear. And stick around to the end if you fancy, and we'll speak to you soon.
Absolute pleasure, guys. Thanks very much, everyone.
Cheers, Matthew. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Right. Well, this is going really quickly. That's two wonderful whiskies. And now something maybe a bit more familiar, not in a bad way, definitely not. We're going to head to Speyside, and we're going to be trying the Aberlour 14, the double cask matured. And we're going to be talking all things Aberlour with Jack. How's it going?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Really well, thank you. I'm much better now after those two drinks than I was prior to coming onto this call.
They both sounded lovely. I want to try them. I've not tried either. They both
well, like I said, between you and me, they used to send our guests a box. So maybe, you know.
I'll be sending an email in the morning.
Just saying. But yeah, so are you in Speyside at the moment?
I'm not. No, I'm in Aberdeen, which is where I'm based, but spend most of my week up on Speyside, in Aberlour, in the brand home, as well as some of our other Speyside distilleries as well.
So who you don't work that? What? Talk to us a bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm Jack. I am a portfolio Scotch whisky ambassador for Chivas Brothers. Chivas Brothers being the Scotch whisky part of Pernod Ricard, is our parent company. I'm based in Aberdeen, but yeah, spend most of my week on Speyside. I'm ostensibly a brand homes ambassador, is what a lot of other distillery companies would call me. So hosting private guests on Speyside, taking them around our brand homes, giving them a sense of Scotland, and giving them a sense of the distilleries and the Scotch whisky as well, which is great.
How did you get into the industry? How did your love for whiskey? Where did that start? Is it just a...
Yeah, I've watched a few of these, and I'm always heartened by how many sort of senior people in the industry say I sort of fell into the industry, which is very much the case for me. So I'm just at the beginning of my Scotch whisky journey. I started with Chivas last summer. Prior to that, I grew up in Deeside, so near Speyside, just outside of Aberdeen. All my family worked in oil and gas. No one worked anywhere near Scotch whisky. But I went to acting school. I trained at the Conservatoire in Glasgow, and did a training there. Graduated, came out, did a bit of that stuff. Nothing was really happening. And then went back to uni in Glasgow to get my master's in marketing, and was looking on the uni careers page, and there was a few different ones like comms and marketing roles, and there was one for a famous bank, which I will not name, but they have a horse for a logo, which might narrow it down. It was Halifax. But they offered me a job, and I was on the interview with them, and they were talking about like doing life insurance, like it was like the policy documents to go along with life insurance policies. And it didn't really excite me, funnily enough. And then I saw this other job, and it was Pernod Ricard brand ambassador. We'll send you somewhere around the world, and you can talk to people about Scotch. So
you took the bank job, and
and the rest was history.
The rest is history.
And now I've got life insurance, which is great. But no, so yeah, I took the job with Chivas. They offered me a role on Speyside, which is great. So the guests come to me. Once I've hosted my guests who are coming from Nigeria next month, I've hosted every continent apart from Antarctica, but I don't know how many penguins are coming to Speyside. So it's great. You get to meet people from all over the world. And even if you don't share the same first language, after a couple of drams of Aberlour 14, you find a ways and means to communicate, and you get to show off our wonderful distilleries. I get to go into a lot of the sites which aren't open to the public, and show people around, as well as Scotland more generally, which is something I'm really passionate about, which is great.
That sounds awesome. Must be. I mean, I know Chivas. I've been on a couple of Chivas trips as well, like Royal Salute trips and stuff like that. And they know how to throw a party. Well.
We do, yeah, we do. It's the spirit of conviviality, and I'm kind of right at the heart of that, which is great.
Okay, that's awesome. So let's talk about
Sure.
The distillery. Talk to us, because I mean, I love it, and I've got lots The car? What am I going on about? In my bar behind me. But talk to us about Aberlour.
Yeah, absolutely. So similar to Mackmyra, what was it? Mackmyra. It is a town. Aberlour is a town in the heart of Speyside. It's a population of about 1,000 people. It is home to the Walker Shortbread Factory and the Aberlour Distillery. So two of Scotland's finest exports in one town. The distillery itself was a Victorian distillery. It was founded by a man called James Fleming, who was quite a sort of industrious type. He was a banker and a grain merchant and a provost and all these things. And he built the distillery in 1879 on the site of an old sawmill. Aberlour in Scottish Gaelic, which is obviously the name of the town as well. Aberlour means the mouth of the chattering burn, the lower being a stream near the distillery. Fleming is kind of now sort of inextricably linked with the town. The hospital is named after him. The town hall is named after him. And in his will, he left money to build the Penny Bridge, which is a bridge that stretches across the Spey so people could safely travel. And at the start of the fishing season, which is probably next week or the week after, a full bottle of Aberlour 12 is poured into the Spey for good luck. But I think it just probably slows the fish down a bit. And but yeah, the town and the distillery have kind of become inextricably fused together. We're at a really exciting time for the distillery. It's unfortunately closed to the public just now. But if any of your wonderful subscribers want to visit, you can still visit the brand home and do tastings with our wonderful team there. But the actual distillery you can't get into just now. Because we're expanding, which is really exciting. So we're basically doubling capacity, which is something we've not done since the 70s. So
okay. That's cool. And talk to us like a little bit about the spirit in general. What, like, you know, the whiskey that's produced, the maturation process. We're talking about. I find with Aberlour, it's not, you know, it's like a comfy pair of old jeans for me. I just love it. It's just like exactly what I want from a whiskey. It like feels old school as well, whilst also looking to the future. But it does feel like a proper whiskey, if you know what I mean. Like a proper Speyside whiskey. But talk to us a bit about that. Talk to us about the whiskey, the maturation process, how it's achieved, casks used.
Absolutely, yeah. It's pretty quintessentially Speyside. It's fresh, it's fruity, it's floral. The distillate itself, when you nose it, which you can do at the brand home, we talk about notes of sort of black currant, blackberry, and I get kind of like a lemon, like a citric note as well. The actual distillation process, fairly standard with Speyside. You know, it's sort of just over 2-day fermentation and distilled twice in copper pot stills. The stills are onion shaped, which is quite a common still shape. So I take guests to Strathyla and the Glenlivet quite a lot. Strathyla, they're quite short and compact, and you get quite a robust viscous spirit. The Glenlivet, they're massive, tall, high lantern stills. Aberlour are sort of somewhere in between. So we get those blackberry flavors coming through from the copper contact. And it's traditionally been known for its maturation in European oak, in Oloroso sherry butts to be specifically. But all of our 12, our 14 and our 16, the 14 being what we're tasting today, are all double cask matured. And what Sandy Hislop, our master blender, and our blending team do is they're playing with obviously playing with the age statement, but they're playing with the ratios and the formula as well. The 14 that we've got to dry today is the newest one in that range. It is since 2022 it's premiered, so it's a newer one. But the 12-year-old, the 16-year-old, and the 18-year-old as well have been around for a long time. The 18-year-old has a finish. It's finished in Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso sherry casks. But the 12, the 14, the 16 are all double cask matured, and they're basically playing with the ratios of the formula between European oak and American oak barrels as well.
Yeah, cool. Lots of people writing in already with some taste notes. So this is the newest of the range that you have. So the kind of standard Aberlour range, like the core, would be the 12, the 14, and the 18.
And the 16 as well.
And the 16 as well.
And then what's kind of interesting about Aberlour, which you might have a bottle of on your back bar, is one of our most famous whiskies is the Abuna. Have you got one there?
I've got now. It's from a while ago. You're going to see my back.
It's quite a bar. That's a little one to shame, I think.
62.
62, very nice.
So I don't know what year that would have been. Yeah.
10-ish years ago, probably. As much as that. We're on to about batch 80 now. So yeah, Abuna, meaning the origin, it's a cask strength, non-age statement, matured and exclusively first fill Oloroso sherry butts. It's pretty uncommon for a brand's most famous expression. But yeah, we've got the 12, the 14, the 16 as well are all double cask matured. And I think the 14 is a really interesting offering within that range, and really plays with the Aberlour flavors in a really beautiful way.
Yeah, what I was about to say, what does it do differently that kind of sets it in between like the 12 and the 16?
Absolutely. So with this one, a higher portion of the liquid is going to have been matured in first fill American oak barrels, which will probably come through, I think, on the sort of creamy vanilla note you get.
Yeah, it's just absolutely like,
yeah. It's for me, it's those little tubs of, like Häagen-Dazs, like Madagascar vanilla ice cream, when it melts at the bottom and you shoot it back and you get that really beautiful creamy vanilla. And the 12 and the 16 are a little bit more sherry forward in their flavor, which you do get those sherry notes in here. There's some milk chocolate in there, there's some cinnamon and some nutmeg, but in general it's got a bit of that creamier note, sort of vanilla on the nose.
Sorry, I jumped way ahead of you, but I
can tell you're just dying to get into the Aberlour, and for good reason. It's great stuff. So
I'm getting this like kind of like chocolatey coffee note, like a mocha kind of thing, or like a dusting of they used to get the coffee ones in Revels. That milk chocolate, but with that as well, and it's really nice. That creamy vanilla note is absolutely wonderful. And is that slightly? It's not something you often get with Aberlour at all, is it?
It's not known for its American oak maturation, but it is double cask matured. But it's quite a robust spirit that stands up well to European maturation, but the flavors come out beautifully. Those blackberry flavors through American oak as well. We've got the Abuna, obviously first fill, 100% first fill European oak. We've also got Abuna Alba as well, which is probably the newest offering, actually newer than the 14, which is 100% maturation in first fill American oak. So it's a beautiful yellow, light color, cask strength offering. So it can be matured in both, and what our blending team are doing there is playing with the formula to bring forward those American oak flavors.
Is it as difficult to get as the Abuna?
Yes,
it is. Okay.
Yeah, but I think there's probably some on your sister site. But it is, again, this is also a batch release. So I tasted batch number 7 just now.
Sorry, is that batch release of the 14?
Yeah, the 14 is batch as well, as is both Abunas.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Is it something which will be added in time to just the core range, and just something that is just a standard bottling within that, or is it just going to always be by batch?
I think it will always be by batch, as much as I understand it, the 14. But yeah.
Steve Conn Williams, proper mocha in a glass dish, chocolate and coffee. There you go. That's what I was thinking. Malcolm Tucker, milk chocolate, oranges, and a hint of spearmint. Real boinga, very fruity, mostly pear aroma, chocolate with dried spicy fruit on the palate, and a chocolate fruit cake finish. Peter Gilmore, to the palate. I'm going to assume that's cherry jam and not cheery jam. Could be cherry jam. It's like a happy jam.
That sounds like a good Instagram name for a brand.
And mint chocolate. Jeffster, that's the thing with Aberlour. You always know what you're getting. It's like an old friend. Well, yeah, it is. But actually, like, funnily enough, like in this case, it's kind of not as well, because it's like you very much, I associate Aberlour with the cherry European oak. So this is definitely different in that way. And it's, I suppose, experimental in its own right. So it's not like quite a green tea cask or anything like we were talking with Matthew, but in its own right it is. Malcolm Tucker, a creamy coffee latte with after 8 mint, plenty of black pepper with a sweet amaretto finish on them. Love that. Steve Conn Williams, strawberry jam and custard in a bowl. Unadulterated, creamy, gooey goodness. Love that. Unadulterated. Now, Clive Hampton, I don't think I've had a dram with so much cream toffee vanilla palette as this. I've just had a quick swig of 10-year-old from my cupboard, and it's a lot less creamy than this. That could obviously be something to do with the European, the American oak, but also something to do with the what is the ABV of this?
Oh, it's 40%. Yeah, 40% offering.
Actually, really like kind of oily and viscous.
Yeah. That comes out with the maturation of the Aberlour. It stands up really well. But I notice a lot of people are picking up on the jammy note as well. And when you I was in the distillery in December with Graham, the master distiller, and he was giving me a bit of a recce of how the expansion's going. When you come out through the still house past the spirit safe, you just get hit with a waft of jam. It's like your grand's just opened a mason jar full of blackberry jam. So yeah, that jamminess is really in there, as well as the chocolates and the coffees and the orchard fruits that are coming through for everyone.
When did so Sandy is the master distiller now?
So Graham's our master distiller,
Okay,
and Sandy's the master blender for Shivers Brothers.
Cool. Doug Clark, citrusy orange and chocolatey nose, creamy and spicy palate, and the chocolate really coming through on the finish. And Pexman is saying, this one is in my shopping basket on the Pour and Sip store. There you go.
Use that discount. Use it or lose it.
Use that discount, yeah, exactly. What does the future hold for Aberlour? Because obviously has this been one of the, he says the newest or one of the newest additions to the lineup?
The 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's one of the newest additions to the range. There's some exciting stuff coming from the brand. Nothing that's been announced as of yet, but some interesting stuff that's going to start coming out. In general, with the distillery, obviously we're expanding, which is great. So we'll get to see even more Aberlour in the world, which is a really good thing. The distilleries, the expansion is going to be built on the same site. The plans look beautiful. You can see them online, but they're really making the sort of sustainable. They're making a sustainable focus to this expansion, because it's all fine and well for distilleries to pop up and expand, but how are you doing that in a sustainable and a responsible manner? So, there's implementation of MVR technology, or mechanical vapor recompression. Say that 3 times fast at the distillery, which is basically about recapturing the heat released during distillation and turning that back into energy, which is something we've piloted at one of our distilleries. So yeah, really exciting stuff coming from Aberlour in the future, which is nice.
That sounds awesome. Would love to try more of this wonderful whiskey. So that sounds absolutely great. And thank you very much for chatting with us, Jack. It's a pleasure talking to you. If you want to stick around to the end, please do. I see Carol still hanging around. Matthew just left. So rude. I'm joking. It's not rude. But I've got another couple of drams to talk about. So yeah, thank you very much, Jack. And
no problem at all. Yeah, speak to you soon.
Right. That's been great so far. I've absolutely loved pretty much everything we've tried so far. What have you guys been thinking? Or are you just going to wait for me to talk at the end of this so we can talk about our favourite of the box? I'm going to talk a brief bit about the next 2 drams. Like I said, there's 5 in this box, quite a lot to drink in one go. So if you would like to just maybe savour these ones for later, or just drink at your own leisure, please do. No, Steve, not the question yet. We've still got a little bit before the question, not just yet. Doug Clark, same. I'm only having some water between tastings to clear my palate. Absolutely, Jeff's still interesting. Not added any H2O to any of the tonight's drams. Well, the funny thing is that tonight we've had, I suppose the Mackmyra was the highest in ABV. It was 46, and then a 40 and 43. So I suppose we've not had anything into the kind of cast strength rounds tonight. So maybe not as much need to add water when we have only got a smaller dram to work with. But yeah, I mean, we are about to, because we're going to talk about LAGG, which is bottled at 55%, and that is pretty potent. So you may want to add some water to this one. But this one is, now I love Arran, I have to say, so I was very excited about this. And obviously Arran have produced peated whiskey before in the Mackmyra, but this was another distillery that was set up on the south side of the island by the Isle of Arran distillers for a solely peated brand, because obviously Arran don't, apart from the Mackmyra, release a peated whiskey. And they began production in 2019. It's right on the other side of the island, and like I said, it's focusing on that peated malt. This is the second bottling of the core range, and it's going to be released once a year, and is named after Hamlet just northwest of the village of LAGG. Now, I'm just going to call it Corriecravie. I could be wrong. That's my... Carol's nodding like I might be right. I can see you there. Is it right? Okay, cool. It's right. Maybe. Corriecravie. And it matured to begin with in bourbon barrels, and it's had then a 6-month finish in Oloroso sherry hogsheads. And it's been sourced directly from Miguel Martin, which is a sherry producer in Jerez. And like I said, at 55% ABV, it's pretty bold, it's pretty rich, and the one thing I noticed about it when I had a little sip of it beforehand is the kind of marriage between those huge kind of barbecue smoked meat notes that I get, like bacon smoked meats, with kind of wonderful sweet sherry cask. So like it's a wonderful marriage between those two things. It's definitely one for the bonfire, that one. That's my opinion. It's like a classic sit by the bonfire, cold, wet, windy night, which might be where you are. It would be very warming, lovely, peaty dram. Hopefully we get someone to talk to us in much more depth than I'm going to about LAGG, or from Aaron, and they can talk us through. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one when I had a try of it earlier. And the last one is the Hepburn's Choice, the Ben Nevis 11-year-old. Now, that is part of the Hunterland brand in general, which is like a small family-owned company from Scotland. But Ben Nevis itself is based on the outskirts of Fort William, and it's kind of a winding story. It was its license officially acquired in 1825. We know Ben Nevis is kind of like had been changing hands quite a lot and been used a lot in blends, and very rarely had seen it as a single malt until it was kind of bought by Hunter Lang, and these whiskies in the Hepburn's Choice series from the Hunter Lang blended from single casks or tiny batches. So this Hepburn's Choice is from very small special cask, let's say, or single casks. Another really nice one, barley, citrus, candied lemon, I found as well. Another one that's really nice to try. So hope you enjoy that one as well. Few tasting notes coming through, I'm sure. Malcolm Tucker saying the Ben Nevis is the nose is very light, citrus, barley, sugar and honey. Palate, heather, honey, orange zest, McVitie's dark chocolate digestive biscuit. Steve Howdy Doody saying that it's very smoky, the LAGG. Simon, the nose on the LAGG is amazing. Bonfire. Yeah, like I said, that's the one. Malcolm Tucker saying the nose on the LAGG is baked haggis. Now, I've never had baked haggis before. Yeah, maybe I should. With its meat, barley, and blends of spices with spirals of smoke. Palate, smoky barbecue sauce. That's the one I'm getting. That really kind of smoky barbecue sauce, which I absolutely love. Rich sherry fruit, tobacco, and ginger, finishing with peppered salami. Lovely. So yeah, well, thank you very much, guys. I'm going to invite the other two back on. Jack's only had a very brief interlude there, so I'm setting back into his phone or whatnot. But you're back. Welcome back. Hello, Carol. How are you guys?
Hi.
I'm going to just ask you guys a question, but firstly, I'm going to ask the guests a question. Yes, you are very right there, Steve Coleman Williams. You would wonder why my whiskey needs guarding by the Hulk. And Spider-Man and Spin and Ghost Spider right on top there. They are obviously not my toys. They are my son's toys. And one of the ways we get him to not take them with him when he goes to childcare, to nursery, is to tell him that they clean daddy's whiskey bottles in the day. That's why they're there, cleaning my whiskey bottles.
That's better than Elf on the Shelf, I think.
Yeah, it's better than So yeah, and also Hulk provides good protection for my whiskey, just in case. But anyway, I'm going to ask a question, so please let us know which your favourite of tonight's tasting session has been. And no one's going to be offended here. But whiskey's subjective, so there is no right or wrong answer, but it's nice to know what everyone else is really appreciating, what everyone else's favourites were. I think that's one of the joys of whiskey, is we like to say which our favourites are and blah blah blah. So please do. What do you guys think about, when we were talking to Matthew about just the general kind of move towards AI, and how can it affect the whiskey industry for the better, or will it be something that is kind of, will the cons be too much? You know, what do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I was sometime before Christmas, I spent a bit of time in our blending rooms with our blending team, and I asked them this question, and they mentioned that, you know, there has been experimentation and work with, because, you know, a big part of the role of a blender is detecting fault, right? So nosing all the new make spirit, all of the water, and trying to assess off notes as much as they're assessing exceptional quality. And they did say that there maybe is a future where, you know, AI and computers can detect off notes in a way without, you know, the burnout. You know, you've not had a coffee that morning or a burrito for lunch. It's all purely subjective and scientific. But as much as it was told to me, that's still a long ways away. But so long as it's a tool that we can harness rather than rather than a replacement for the sort of magic of human invention, I think it could be an exciting,
I agree. We don't want the whiskey industry striking like in Hollywood for the kind of the thought of AI. What about yourself, Carol?
Yeah, no, I think Fred Lang would have something to say about that. I think his nose, his palate, and his experience in the world of whiskey would outweigh any AI in his eyes. But yeah, it's like you say, the future. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's that thing of like, especially in Scotland, like we're talking about so much tradition. People who have just been in this industry for
it's in their bloodstream.
And families that have like especially like that, with the Langs and like it's this is just heritage. It would be near on impossible to convince someone of that stature that a computer
can do better. Yeah.
To either do better or replace what they're doing or change it up. However, there is absolutely going to be a place for it in the future because there will just have to be, because that is the way it is going. I think we're very early stages. That I think that is personally like a kind of very, very early stages of that. We may be seeing that in decades to come, where it really is an industry like the whiskey industry. But it's definitely going to be up to, I suppose, Swedish distilleries and stuff like that to maybe try these kind of things much more than trying AI whiskey anytime soon. I hope it doesn't, but so I'm just going to read out a few of these. Just let me get to the top. Usually someone else is helping me out with this. Okay, Jeremy Anderson. Favourites in order: LAGG first, Ben Nevis, Aberlour, Mackmyra, and then the Filliers. Pexman, Aberlour, LAGG, Mackmyra, Mackmyra. Okay, good. Jeff's Aberlour. David Walcock, LAGG for me tonight. Going to get a bottle and a McSween's haggis. Do you guys know what McSween's particular haggis is?
Yeah, it's an award-winning haggis from, I think, Edinburgh, if I'm right.
Oh, there you go. It's not something I've eaten often, haggis, I have to say. But it's nice whenever I have had it.
I do a lot of Scottish dinners for international guests, so I've eaten more haggis in 6 months than I had in my whole life. It never gets old.
Malcolm Tucker, favourite of the night was the Mackmyra, but of the box was LAGG. JB, Aberlour and Filliers for me. One thing, right there. Steve Williams, I think Filliers gets my vote. Just stood out a little bit different and elicited emotions, not just tastes for me. There you go. Actual emotions we're having here. That's a great thing about whiskey. It can do that. Yeah. Jeremy Anderson, all great. Visited Douglas Lang's new tasting room virtually with Fred. Need to visit in person. Some history in that whiskey wall.
There very much is.
Yeah. Yep. Stuart McGregor, Aberlour, Filliers, then Mackmyra, Steve Howdy Doody, Filliers and Mackmyra for me. Paul Birrell, the heat hits you straight away. Yeah, I assume you're talking about the LAGG there. It does. It is huge, that one. I think they went bold with that one. Simon, of the three guests, the Filliers was lovely. But the LAGG is my favourite of the box so far. It's weird that you're all saying that, because usually you're all saying that you don't like the peated ones, and then suddenly we give you one. What's going on here? It's usually the complete opposite. Clive Hampton, Sweden qualifies from the group tonight with a replay needed between Belgium and Scotland. I absolutely love that, Clive. You get the winning comment of tonight. Bill, LAGG with us. We should do that for the Euros, though, Clive. It's actually just given me a very good idea. I think we should do that for the Euros, and I hope those in powers of be are listening, because we could do like a kind of like group stage kind of vibe leading up to the Euros. Leave it with me.
I mean, Scotland's going to win both. So.
Scotland in it? No.
They are. We are indeed.
Yeah, you are. Okay.
Yeah, we've got a good group as well.
Okay, very good. Okay. I'll tell you what, you will definitely win the whiskey portion, but you definitely won't win the football portion. Bill, LAGG with a splash of water is amazing. Aberlour best of the three, but LAGG best of the box. Doug Clark, Filliers, then Aberlour. For me, I've just had the LAGG with a splash of water, and it's great. I definitely think that you will be needing to add a little splash of water to that LAGG at 55%. Huge one, that. Real point. I liked the LAGG best because I prefer peaty, but all the other whiskies were very good. Honestly, we usually have the complete opposite, I think, on this channel. It's like everyone's saying, I'm not won over by the peaty stuff. And, it's why we've been reluctant to do like a whole Isla one or a whole peaty one. But now I'm just getting everyone saying they like the peaty one. Yeah, weird. C. Con Williams, Andy's question around AI. Given I have my first 0% whiskey last week, which tasted more like ginger beer to me, I think AI will come up with a lovely balanced whiskies, but not stand out dram. I think you talk about the non-alcoholic whiskey. Yeah, I don't think AI is going to get that one right, because I don't know. I've not tried anything which gets even near. I've tried good non-alcoholic like beer and
Yeah.
but I've never tried a good they might kill me for saying it's non-alcoholic spirit, really. Even the gin stuff just tastes like cordial. But yeah, anyway, C. Con Williams, AI can only find the balancing point of all the data. Even if you point it to a smoky trophy of whiskey, it will be a mean average smoky trophy. No doubt still nice, but not truly special. This is absolutely right. And I think it's why you can't replace the absolute kind of
Human
complexity
knows.
just general our emotions, what we put into the things that we make. I think AI will do a good job of being able to write formulaic stuff that doesn't require any kinds of emotion, or it's not even that, but the complexities of what human kind of flaws and stuff like that can provide. Anyway, I'm rambling. I could go on about this. I could go on because I've got lots of opinions about the film industry. Simon, Pour and Sip converted me on blends and peat. There we go. Pour and Sip has done a lot of converting over our three years, maybe. Can't remember. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you to all our guests. Jack, wonderful stuff. Carol, thank you so much. Thank you to Matthew as well. I hope you weren't just sitting. No, he had gone. I was worried there for a second that he'd been sitting there the whole time and I hadn't added him back in. No, he's gone. So thank you very much. We will all see you I'll see you in March. I don't know the exact date. I do this every time. But thank you all for joining and hope to see you all soon. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.